Hello again, my name's John. I'm a retired cook from the northeast of England in the UK, and welcome to another bread video. And in this one I'll show you how to make these amazing authentic English muffins. And this method is so much easier to make than my previous no-knead muffin recipe, and they're absolutely delicious. There's nothing better than a toasted English muffin for breakfast with either something savoury or sweet on it. Once you try one of these homemade beauties, you'll never buy another muffin from the store again. You can see the ingredients list and full written method for this recipe on the recipe page on the channel's website. And the link to that page and lots more is in the description box under the video. Just find and click on the word more, and that'll give you access to all the relative links for this video, including our website store products. Okay, let's get on with today's recipe. As always, I'll start the recipe by setting away the yeast. This is also a good early test that your yeast is alive and healthy. First job, add the sugar, then crack the egg into the warm milk. It's the milk and egg that gives the muffin that soft, rich texture. If you don't use eggs, add an extra 50 ml of milk instead. Okay, give that a quick whisk. Now add your yeast and whisk that in too. Once everything's thoroughly whisked together, set it aside to activate. If you don't see any change after 10 minutes, your yeast must be dead and it needs replacing. Right guys, once again, due to my wonky hand, I'll have to use my stand mixer to do mine, but you can knead this by hand if you like. Right, my yeast is now active, so start by adding that to the mixer bowl. Next, add the oil or butter. I'm using olive oil. Now you can add the flour to the bowl. Finally, in goes the salt. And a very quick mention to the channel's Patreon, PayPal and Super Thanks supporters. I'll do the name splash and shout out a little later in the video. Okay, I'll get that on the machine and attach the dough hook. Right, everything's ready. I'll set the stand mixer away on speed 2 for this machine. Like I said earlier, if you don't have a mixer, you can knead this recipe by hand. Once the dough comes together, set your timer for 10 minutes. And if you're hand kneading the dough, you need to do that for 10 minutes too. While that's mixing, prepare a medium-sized proofing bowl with a little cooking oil. Right, time's up on the kneading. So, if you machine or hand kneaded your dough, we're all at the same point now. Either way, you should now have a beautifully smooth dough. Turn it out onto your worktop and give it a quick fold, then form it into a ball. Drag the dough ball like so. This will tighten up the outer skin of the dough. Get it into the oiled bowl. Now give it a swirl to coat the whole ball in a little oil. This does a couple of things. It prevents the dough from sticking to the bowl as it's proofing, but more importantly, it prevents the dough from drying out. Cover the bowl. I like to use a shower cap for this. Lots of these available on the website if you're interested. Now get it into a warm spot and let it proof for 1 hour. Okay, time's up on that first and only proof in the bowl. And as you can see, it's nicely risen. Turn it out onto the workbench and knock the dough back. That simply means force all of the gas out of it back to its original size. Give it a quick knead and then form it into a ball. Now we need to divide the dough into 6 equal pieces. If your measurements were correct at the beginning, you should now have around 690 grams, that's 24.5 ounces. Right, that divided by 6 equals 115 grams or 4 ounces each. Now, using your baker scraper, start dividing the dough up. If you don't have scales, make your best guess at it. And if you don't have one of these baker scrapers, may I suggest that you get one. This is one of the best tools in your kitchen. Once you have all 6 cut, form them into a rough ball like so. Now, using this rolling technique, form them into the finished ball. Check out my dinner roll video for more information on how to master this rolling method. Once all 6 are done, cover them with a lightweight dry cloth. Now let them rest and relax for 5 minutes. This rest period makes the dough so much easier to roll out the final shape of these muffins. Before we start rolling the muffins, there's a couple of things to prepare. First, you'll need a large, lightly floured tray to proof the rolled muffins on. This tray is not for baking them on. The muffins are actually cooked on the hob in a large frying pan. For rolling the dough out, I'll be using our very own adjustable stainless steel rolling pin, and these are available on the website. These fantastic rolling pins with different size spaces take all of the guesswork out of rolling your dough out evenly and to the exact thickness that you require. And for this muffin recipe, I'll be using the 1/4 inch or 6mm spacer. Right, the 5-minute resting period is up. Time to roll these muffins out. And excuse the pun, make sure you have everything ready to roll. Start by very lightly dusting a spot on the bench. Place one of the dough balls on the flour and lightly dust that too. Now simply roll the dough backwards and forwards in straight lines. Turn it 90 degrees and do the same. This will keep them reasonably round. Just keep rolling until your guides hit the bench. Once done, place them on the lightly floured tray. Do the same for the other 5. And if you don't have one of our rolling pins, just lightly roll until you have a 4 inch or 11 cm circle, and that'll ensure you have the correct thickness. Now have a quick clean up. Cover the muffins with your dry proofing cloth again, and that's all there is to it. Now let those proof or rise for 20 minutes. And while I'm waiting for those muffins to proof, I hope you don't mind if I give my 4 recipe books a quick shout out. The books have lots of our favourite recipes from our work kitchens in them, and also book 4 in this series is totally dedicated to bread recipes. The skeleton style oven gloves, now supporting our company name, are also available too. Just check out the link in the description box to our website store if you're interested in any of these items. When there's only 3 or 4 minutes left, it's time to start heating the pan up on the hob. So I lift the tray over to the cooker. Now get a large frying pan on the heat and get the temperature up to 200 Celsius, that's 390 Fahrenheit. Once you're up to temperature, you can reduce the heat a bit. And remember, we are not frying these, so absolutely no oil or fat of any kind in the pan. Time to get these gorgeous muffins into the pan. Carefully lift them off the tray by hand and place them into the hot pan. And don't overcrowd the pan, do them in 2 batches of 3. Once in, set your timer for 3.5 minutes. You can periodically check underneath to make sure they're not getting too dark. Now it's important to keep a check on the pan temperature. Try to maintain it at an average of 180 Celsius, that's 355 Fahrenheit. But don't let it go over 190, that's 375 Fahrenheit, or you will burn them. Once the time's up and you're happy with the colour, you can flip them over and cook the other side for a further 3.5 minutes. If you want to have these for breakfast time, but rather than getting up at 5 AM to make them, the best way is to make a large batch and freeze them. But freeze them as soon as they've cooled from the pan. So in the morning you can defrost them on a defrost setting in your microwave. That only takes a couple of minutes. That way you can have fresh muffins for breakfast every morning. When they're done, they should have risen quite well and are pretty firm to the touch. lift them out of the pan and onto a large plate. I like to keep the plate in a warm oven around 60 Celsius, that's 140 Fahrenheit. Now do exactly the same for the other 3 muffins. And there you go, 6 perfectly cooked English muffins. I'll pop these in the oven for now to keep warm, and when I come back I'll let you see what they're like on the inside. Okay, time to see how we did. And these fantastic muffins look and smell so amazing. Now the outside and the crumb on the inside should be soft and light, not dense and heavy like the ones you get in the supermarkets. Now there's lots of ways you can have these muffins. They really do make an awesome sandwich when they're warm and fresh like these, like a BLT for instance. And I'll show you a couple of my personal favourites. Number 1, toasted with lots of butter and strawberry jam on. Absolutely delicious. And the second, once again with lots of butter and a perfectly poached egg on top. Check out my shorts video on how to perfectly poach eggs, especially those watery supermarket eggs you buy. That is truly delicious, guys. And there you go, a very easy recipe for authentic English muffins. A big thumbs up every time for these beauties. And as mentioned earlier in the video, here is the latest list of my Patreon, PayPal and Super Thank You button supporters. And they are Paul Stusselitis, John A. Roulette, Michael Barron, Mark Pierce, Jens K3250, RBSB Blackburn 6819, The Robo Jesus, Sturrett 3449, Darrell Elder 1352, The High Priestess 9752, Caroline Macmillan 1690 and Derek Timoney 2249. And there's also one who wishes to remain anonymous. Thanks very much guys, I really do appreciate all that you do in supporting the channel. Well, thank you again for watching. Please like, share, comment and subscribe by hitting the circle above. If you do subscribe, activate the bell icon next to the subscribe button on my channel page. And by doing that, you'll be automatically notified every time I upload a new video. And in the meantime, here's a few of my other videos and playlists that you may want to watch. So, until the next time, be safe in your kitchen and bye for now.